Bad Days by Griffin Rose on AO3. Episode 41, Chapter 10, The Rest of Summer. It took almost the entire day, but Izuku finally managed to shift into a functional dragon. That's so cool, Uraraka said as they walked back to the dorms. I didn't know you could morph into mythical creatures too. It's a lot harder, Izuku admitted. He was exhausted, and part of him kept trying to lean forward to walk on all fours. This upright thing was weird. Can you breathe fire like that, Kyugo? Suyu asked. Izuku stopped walking, causing Tenya to crash into him. The other stopped and looked back. Midoriya, Todoroki asked. Izuku had to take a deep breath, stomping down the memories with all the misplaced rage he felt bumbling under his skin. Tenya squeezed his shoulders. Sorry, Izuku said, walking forward again. I won't breathe fire, though. Even if he could figure out how to add that to his transformations, he wouldn't. It would be too much like Hisashi's. Oh, I guess it makes sense if you can't morph that much of your biology, Rabbity said. Todoroki narrowed his eyes. He caught on to Izuku's word choice. Won't, not can't. Izuku deliberately looked away. He was not having that conversation right now. Besides, they were almost at the dorms, and Izuku hadn't had the chance to see them yet. They quickly treated him to a tour, Uraraka going on about some kind of room competition once Izuku had a chance to set up. Then they went backstairs to find something to snack on, and Izuku found out that afternoon, when it came in, that the windows had landed perfectly on the couches. Fuck yes, he whispered next to Tenya before immediately abandoning his friend to curl up in the warmth. Where are you going? Midoriya? What? Ah, Izuku, Tenya gently called. Izuku purred from the couch. Sunlight on the couches was the best. Izuku? Tenya hissed, coming over to him. You're doing the thing. The cat thing? Tenya retaliated. Cat thing? What cat thing? Oh! Izuku shot up from the couch with a hiss, and since Tenya was right there, he ended up perched on Tenya's shoulders, which was really not helping his case. Tenya sighed. I should have just let you nap. Face burning, Izuku climbed down, most of the class looking at him with wide eyes. Questions on their faces. That was... Yeah. What the fuck, Deku? Bakugo asked. Of course it was Bakugo. No one else lacked the patience to come up with a tactful way to get the point across. Izuku crossed his arms, face still on fire. Side effect of my quirk. If I'm an animal too long, some of the habits carry over. You've mentioned that before, Uraraka stated. I had no idea you meant like that. It's not usually so bad, Izuku said. He still couldn't get any of them in the eye. I don't tend to spend days in a single animal anymore. It'll wear off before you know it, Tenya said, trying to cheer him up. Everyone was staring at him, so Izuku beat a hasty retreat back to his room. He didn't have to unpack, and after that display in the common room, he didn't particularly want to be around anyone. His classmates gave him an hour before sending anyone to check up on him. He'd gotten his clothes put away and put up his posters when Tokoyami knocked on the door. Tokoyami was decidedly not the person Izuku had expected when he opened the door. Oh, hi, Tokoyami. Midoriya, may I come in? Shrugging, Izuku let him in and shut the door again. Tokoyami glanced at all the hero merch over Izuku's room, smiling and shaking his head. If you're just checking on me, you can tell the others I'm fine, just needed some space, Izuku said. I'll pass the message. That is not why I'm here. He crossed his arms, looking anywhere but Izuku. Izuku tilted his head. What do you need then? With a sigh, Dark Shadow popped out over Tokoyami's shoulder. We wanted to apologize. Now Izuku was really confused. Apologize for what? He'd barely ever seen Tokoyami. What could he possibly be apologizing for? I didn't mean to clobber you, Dark Shadow said, sniffling. Honestly, I just wanted to protect Fuji. Everything looked like a threat. I didn't know it was you. Izuku blinked. He still had no idea what they were talking about. What? During the attack on the camp, Tokoyami said, I succumbed to the chaos of the night and lost control of Dark Shadow. You very nearly paid the price. He had absolutely no memory of Dark Shadow attacking him. Had Dark Shadow not attacked you, you likely wouldn't have found much sooner and received the care you needed sooner. Tokoyami wouldn't look at him. I don't remember that, Izuku said. He barely remembered finding Todoroki and fighting Moonfish. The actual hit that knocked him out was lost to the depths of confusion he had. Even if I did, I wouldn't blame you. Either of you. That night was... That was a lot. Everything happened so fast. All told, the attack hadn't even lasted an hour. It felt so much longer than that. If the police hadn't found you, you had died from your injuries, Tokoyami said. It would have been my fault. But I didn't. You could have. I didn't. Everything worked out. Did it? Tokoyami asked. You're still recovering. You realize you were the one kidnapped, right? Izuku asked, leaning against his desk. I was unconscious, but that whole time, and yeah, that week after was painful and sucked, but, and I never want to do it again, but I'm okay. Trauma isn't comparable, Tokoyami stated. Izuku blew out a breath. He already dealt with the multiple apologies from Shouta and Todoroki about being abandoned that night, and the guilt was starting to get a little old. Seriously, Tokoyami, I don't even remember it. I'm not mad at you or anything. I still apologize for the injuries I caused. I could have killed you. Dark Shadow shrank down into Tokoyami's back. This wasn't just about guilt then. Tokoyami was also afraid of his quirk after that night. Izuku could work with that. Tokoyami, did you know I poisoned the man that night? The question threw Tokoyami off. Izuku nodded. The villain Muscular. He was too strong for me to bring down on my own, so I bit him as a rattlesnake. I was already injured, and I had to get Goto to safety, so I had no choice but to leave him there after knocking him out. It was hard to read what Tokoyami thought of the admission. My venom is weaker than a normal rattlesnake's, but it still could have killed Muscular if he didn't get the antidote in time. In a way, we kind of did the same thing that night. You had to defend yourself, and a civilian. You had no choice. I still chose to willingly poison another human being. Objectively, I think that's far worse than your quirk accidentally knocking me out. No one knew where you were. Would you do it again? Izuku interrupted. Of course not. Then don't worry so much, Izuku said. It was an accident. I still trust you to watch my back in a fight. Dark Shadow peeked over his shoulders again. You mean that? Izuku grinned at him. Of course I do. Dark Shadow growled and wrapped himself over Tokoyami, like some kind of weird hug, and before he knew it, Izuku was wrapped in it too. He laughed, face smudged with Tokoyami's. Dark Shadow! Dissess! But he still likes us. Dark Shadow! Fine. The Quirk unwrapped them, and they each took a step back to put some personal space between them again. Tokoyami was quick to try and leave after that, but he paused at the door. Thank you, Midoriya. I've been distressed at what happened. It was apparently part of the reason the League thought I'd be a good recruit. Izuku grimaced. Well, they're out of their minds. You're gonna be a great hero, Tokoyami. Tokoyami grinned slightly. Thank you, Midoriya. I'm glad you're alright. I'm glad you're okay, too. Giving Izuku a slight nod, Tokoyami took his leave. Izuku stood in the silence for a minute before backing up to his bed and dropping hard onto it. The summer camp wasn't going to just go away, was it? Over the next few days, Izuku invited, in a haze of embarrassment, he ate his entire dinner one night without his hands, Oblivious to his classmates' pointed attempts to remind him utensils existed, he found the patch of sun on the couch after training every day and napped there each time. He constantly rubbed the back of his hands over his face or through his hair. When he was really tired, either when he first woke up or the night before bed. He forgot how words worked and resisted to humming and growling to communicate. Tenya always guided him out of the room when he got to that point. Honestly, Tenya migrated most of the side effects he was dealing with. Izuku suspected he said something to the class about not teasing him, because while they might coo at how adorable Izuku looks sometimes, they never mocked him. Izuku was so grateful for his best friend. Really, he didn't know what he'd do without. Tenya pulled out a laser pointer one night. His best friend status recited. Todoroki was his best friend now. Tenya would be sporting bruises, the marks of his lost status, for several days. And it was a good thing he was so overly prepared and had so many extra pair of glasses, because they already broken one pair. Izuku was not sorry about this. Using a laser pointer with him, as if he wasn't smart enough to know where the light was coming from. He was sulked on the couch, Tenya nursing the bruises beside him, when Bakugo approached him, his hands in his pockets. "Hey, nerd. Can we talk?" Izuku blinked up at him. "You know, every single person in this class is technically a nerd, right? You're going to need to narrow it down some more." Bakugo grimaced. He looked like he had a lemon in his mouth. He's Midoriya. He should have just responded to nerd. That was painful. "Yes? I want to talk. Outside." Izuku shared a glance with Tenya. Tenya shrugged and encouraged him to go so. So Izuku, reluctantly, stood and followed Bakugo outside. They went a little away from the building, just so they wouldn't be overheard. They were still in the view of windows that were the only comfort Izuku had being alone with Bakugo like this. "What do you want to talk about?" Bakugo stood with his back to Izuku. "You've known me the longest, and you'd be honest if I asked you something, right?" "Yeah, I guess." "The League were after me at the summer camp. Tokoyami said they wanted to recruit him, and they thought I would have jumped on their little bagwagon right away." He could see how this would be distressing to anyone, but Izuku was kind of surprised Bakugo brought it up to him of all people. They didn't exactly have the best relationship. Maybe that's why. Bakugo looked down at his palm, flexing his fingers. "You flinch from me all the time. So, what is it about me that makes people think I'm a villain material, and how do I stop?" Izuku inhaled deeply, taking a moment to organize his thoughts. He stepped next to Bakugo, staring over at the campus. "I flinched because you hurt me in the past. When we were kids, you had no qualms using your quirks on me. And in our final, when I disagreed with you, you lashed out and hurt me again." "Because you weren't listening to a damn thing I said," Bakugo growled. Izuku raised a brow at him. "And you weren't listening to me. But I didn't hit you back, did I? Like I would have let you." "That's not the point. Think of the other hero team-ups you've seen. Did they ever attack each other when they disagreed on a plan?" Bakugo crossed his arms. "I know you're not a villain," Izuku went on. "But the way you lashed out at me that day, the way you don't seem to care about anyone else, and the way you're screaming die or something, it sends mixed signals." "You asked me, remember?" Izuku said. "The core of being a hero is saving others, putting yourself on the line for others. You only care about yourself. If you want to do better, start there." Izuku turned to leave, but Bakugo caught his arm. "What the hell does that even mean? How do I just act sappy towards everyone?" Sighing, Izuku looked up to the sky and shook his head. Why was this his life? "You could stop calling our class extras, for one. They have names." His cheeks reddened, and he let go of Izuku's arms. Names are..." "Nicknames are fine," Izuku smoothed. "They could be terms of endearment, even. Your nicknames, however, are more like insults." Deku blew out of the wind between them. unsaid, but deafening. He thought that one was over for a bit. You're not gonna change overnight, Izuku said, but I'll help you as much as I can, okay? I'll call you out when you're overstepping and whatever else you need. Why? Bakugo demanded. You don't want anything to do with me, so why would you? Izuku shrugged. I don't like seeing people hurt. If there's something I could do to help, I will. Even if that person is you. Bakugo didn't seem to know what to do with that answer, and Izuku started walking back towards the dorm again. Bakugo caught up with him, grabbing his wrist to ask one more question. The final. How should it have gone differently? Izuku blew his bangs out of his face. We should have shared our ideas, and any misgivings we had about the other idea, and then compromised from there. We're a team, equal, but you treated me like I was dirt. I wanted an honest win, Bakugo said. Running away isn't honest. It's cowardly. Sometimes, it's the best option, Izuku said. That's the whole point of the exam. Do you think our classmates who retreated to the lodge during the summer camp attack were cowards? Bakugo didn't have an answer. Surviving isn't cowardly, Izuku said. We can save more people by being alive than we can if we die fighting a fight we could have run from. The concept seemed entirely foreign to Bakugo. It was a good step for him to be asking these kinds of questions. But he wouldn't be able to alter his entire worldview with one conversation. Izuku would rather Bakugo had brought this up with Shouta. He felt rather unqualified to be answering these questions, but right now, he was the only one Bakugo would listen to. And for the record, winning means a lot more than just beating your opponent, Izuku said, finally managing to get back inside. Bakugo stayed outside for a while longer, sitting on the steps in contemplation until nightfall. Izuku hoped this would be a good turning point for him. Bakugo had been part of the rescue group in Kimino. Whatever motivated him to partake in that. It was different than Bakugo who would have fight in the exam. Hell, it was different than the Bakugo who would have glared at him most of the summer camp. That Bakugo would have blasted into the battlefield and forcefully grabbed Tokoyami. Instead, Bakugo had worked with the others. He'd relied on Yaroshi's flash grenade and Todoroki's ice, and with Kirishima's help, they carved out an escape route through the rubble to hide their tracks and keep the League from following them. If Bakugo could keep that momentum going, he'd make one hell of a hero one day. Izuku couldn't wait to see how it went. The days leading to the license exam were brutal. They were pretty much as intense as the summer camp had been, only without the quality woodsy setting. They started the day early, trained as hard as they could, and then eventually were allowed to go back to the dorms to clean up and sleep. It was intense, but it was worth it. Izuku perfected his dragon form, fighting with it against everyone in the class one by one. They were all eager for a chance to fight him like this, and needed the practice. More than one person asked him about breathing fire. He shut those conversations down quickly and immediately. Of course, it was only a matter of time before Todoroki cornered him about it. You give me a lot of shit for not using my full power, and now you won't use yours? It was after class, and Izuku had paused by the water fountain to refill his water. Most of the class had gone to the dorms. We don't even know if I can, Izuku stated. But you won't try. He tightened his grip on his water bottle. No, I won't. Todoroki laughed, dry and furious. I don't believe you. What was all that crap you told me then? It's different, Izuku insisted. You need both sides of your power for balance. I don't need to breathe fire. What was the situation you gave me? What if I was up against some ice villain? Wouldn't fire be a perfect counter for that? Izuku squeezed his water bottle so hard, water popped out from the top. It's different because you weren't using your fire out of spite. I'm not using it because I'm pretty sure if I start breathing fire, I'm gonna have traumatic flashbacks. Or panic attacks. Todoroki had no spiteful comeback for that. Yeah, my fire-breathing asshole of a sperm donor used this quirk to kill my mom. Remember? It's why I'm adopted. I forgot the specifics. I apologize. I forgive you. He refilled his water bottle, and they started back to the dorms in silence. Does my fire ever bother you? Todoroki asked. Not badly, Izuku admitted. But I think anyone would be uncomfortable in the middle of a raging inferno. Some kind of survival instincts? Todoroki rolled his eyes and lightly shoved him. Izuku grinned at him and shoved back, and then he danced out of Todoroki's reach when Todoroki tried to retaliate. It quickly turned into a chase, all the way back to the dorms. The brief moment of tense awkwardness between them, already gone. I'm gonna read the bonus here, and not as like an actual part of this chapter. So, bonus, the license arc. Okay, so this arc is actually my least favorite, and I've decided I'm not gonna actually write it, but I do have notes on how things would have gone and played out differently, so I figured I'd let you guys read them. When they meet Suzuki, Todoroki gets Inisha's a little more warmly. Inisha still has a chip on his shoulder, but Todoroki sticks with Izuku and Ida throughout the exam, and they're able to stop any petty fights from happening. Todoroki passes. Because his clothes disappear when he shifts, Izuku is accidentally invulnerable during the first half, because the targets just fade with his clothes. He stays morphed as something, or other, the time, and wakes up with... He stays morphed as something, or other, the whole time, the team, and teams up with Koda, so he's the translator. UA dominates the exam. Toga makes an appearance as Uraraka, but the way she freaks out over Izuku's morphing cues him in fast on her being an imposter. He attacks her, and she laughs and makes an escape. During the second half, he uses different animals to find civilians, and then comforts them by turning into cats or puppies to make them smile. Bakugo still fails. He might be trying to change, but he hasn't made enough progress by this point. He's not as angry or bitter about it, as he doesn't quite believe he deserves to have his license yet. Not until he's made some real progress. Oh, I love this. Okay. Now the actual author notes. A couple of you have asked about the license arc, and I just really don't want to write it, so I'm not. This means Eri and Overhaul would be the next chapter, so you have to look forward to that. I'm gonna cry. Chapter 11, Overhaul. Enter Eri, and this is looking like it's gonna be 3 parts. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. I'm actually kind of excited because I'm gonna get a new phone. Apparently, I didn't actually believe that my father would pull through, but he did. And now I'm getting a new phone, so I'm gonna go from my iPhone 18 Plus. Wait, hold up, what? My iPhone 8 Plus. Yeah, you heard me. I have a home button. I have an ancient phone, or as an old ex-coworker of mine would say, I have a dinosaur phone. And then as for the new phone I am getting an iPhone 16 Plus. Yeah, that is a huge jump. That is a huge jump in phones. So, I'm excited for that. Mainly not because oh my god, new phone. I'm excited because I'm finally going to be able to charge my phone normally. I wish I was joking, but to charge my phone, it is literally a hassle. I have these wireless chargers for my phone because I can't charge my phone through the regular wire thingy because it won't fucking charge. Anyway, yeah, so that is annoying to have, as you can tell. It is slow. It is so slow. It is slowly going slower and slower, and it's driving me insane. It is driving me insane. I cannot do it anymore. So I'm happy that I'm probably gonna get a new phone. And if he doesn't give me a new phone, then I am so desperate, I might just grab one of those goddamn government phones, because even those are better than this shit. Anyways, this is a really cute chapter. I really liked it. And I was about to clock Izuku to hey, you told Todoroki that, fire, ha ha ha, use your quirk. It's your quirk, not his. But Izuku has a valid point. Izuku's not using his quirk, not out of spite, but out of the simple ability that it could cause him to have a whole panic attack and tragic, it is a mental detriment to himself, right? Unlike with Todoroki, it was more out of spite. Yes. Okay. Love that. What I do not love is that Eri's thingy is gonna come up, and I'm scared. I'm scared. But also happy, because Eri, but also, Eri. Scared. Overhaul. It's more oh my god, yay, Eri! Oh god, Overhaul. You know? Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to, is he gonna fight him as a dragon? Make sure to eat sleep, drink your water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server or socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.